Welcome along to another episode of Trip Notes, a New Zealand Herald travel podcast. It's brought to you by House of Travel, Better Together. Before we welcome our special guest, let's welcome Stephanie Holmes.
Hi, Tim.
New Zealand Herald Deputy Editor. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
And sitting right next to you, so this is not too long, but I do like to do a tiny bit of research first.
Goodness.
So, born and bred in Taranaki, head girl of New Plymouth Girls High.
Yes.
You wouldn't read about it. A former rep cricketer, I did know that. Mother of three, TV star, radio breakfast host on the Hits, and someone who's been everywhere from China to Italy to Tahiti to the States. Toni Street.
Hello.
Welcome.
What an intro.
I know, I always get really jealous of his intros because I just get Deputy Travel Editor, welcome. And then everyone else gets, and she's done this and
she's
this
done
and
this and this and this. I'm like, what does having a head girl have to do with the travel? I don't know.
No, but you throw it in there, you know?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get mentioned enough. You know, I was deputy head boy. That's not thrown out there enough.
What school?
Massey High.
Very nice.
But you got top. I was second.
Plymouth Girls High represent.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. But thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have a head girl in Trip
gosh.
Notes today, so thank you.
So as far as what we're going to talk about, we've got our destination of the week where Kiwis have been going for decades, but in the last few years just flocking to. And people just go back to this place over and over again. So we're going to find out why you love it so much. For the travel bug section, we're going to look at what we love and what we hate about hotels. Because I even like crappy hotels because they've got stories. Obviously, I prefer nice ones. But the things we love and hate about hotels. But let's find out a little bit about you first and your love of travel.
Yeah, so when did you first ever go overseas?
The very first time was that classic era when people were heading to the Gold Coast, surfers' paradise. But I don't think I went overseas until I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
I went to Melbourne as a 3-year-old, but I cannot remember it because my grandparents used to live there. But it was for one visit, then they came back to New Zealand. So it was the classic surfers' paradise to go and do Dream World, Movie World, Wet and Wild. And I just have such fond memories of that place.
Yeah.
The hot air, the food. And I think it was when like Surfers Paradise was a bit classier. I think it's got a bit touristy now, but I loved it.
Yeah, and Kiwis are still going there, but I think people have kind of graduated a bit. You know, you might not necessarily stay like right in Surfers. You might go down to like Broad Beach and a bit further down, but it's still a great destination.
Actually, I was there not so long ago and walking around like the heart of Surfers Paradise. I think it's still got the same charm, to be honest. I think it's just got a bit busy for people, but it's still got that beautiful vibe, the beautiful beach.
The beach is amazing.
Everything you love about, I think, the beach lifestyle in Australia is still there.
Yeah. So if you didn't do any overseas trips before that point, what were your family holidays like? Were you campers or?
So Nana and Granddad next door, so we're dairy farmers, they had a caravan.
Yeah.
And so we used to take the caravan wherever we went, whether it was on an athletics meet. I remember distinctly being in the caravan when we went to the Colgate Games down in Wellington, which was a 4.5 hour drive. I remember being terribly car sick every time we went north of New Plymouth because you have to go through Mount Messenger and the Awakino Gorge, and I was terribly car sick all the time. But we often stayed in camping grounds, so we'd take the caravan and we loved it. It was a caravan that opened out with a big awning.
Nice.
And I just have such fond memories of being in that caravan. In fact, my husband and I talked about it recently about doing either a caravan trip or a camper van trip just because the kids all love staying together.
And so long as they don't get sick. Because my wife and I did a baby moon one with the motorhome. We absolutely loved it. And some of those top 10 parks, you know, I think I need to let people like Mike Hosking know that it's you can. I think he might enjoy a top 10 park, probably not, but because they can be quite fancy, and they've got those gigantic kind of trampoline thingies which are like this blow up inflatable massive cushion. They're really good.
Yeah, and so we did a lot of driving. I have that memory as a child because New Plymouth is a bit out on a limb.
Yeah.
So everywhere you go is around 4 hours plus. So to Hawke's Bay it's about 6 hours, and I remember we often based it around going to the theme park. So it was Fantasyland back then, and it was a big deal to go to Kelly Tarleton's and Rainbow's End in Auckland. So yeah, a lot of memories of driving and vomiting.
It sounds just like a classic Kiwi summer holiday though, you know, car sick, vomit, then have a really great time.
Yeah, and the other place was the Coromandel. We went there a lot in summer, and getting to Whangamata is really windy. And when I was a kid, I thought it was terribly windy, and again, the same issue. But once you get there, you've got this pristine, New Zealand environment, and for us, we were a really beachy family.
Yeah.
So it was often around beaches, and I love that. And it didn't really dawn on me that we weren't going overseas. It's only sort of more when I hit my teens that it became a lot cheaper and easier to fly, and that's when we spread our wings a bit.
Yeah. But we are so spoiled here. Like, I mean, we talk about it quite often, but, you don't necessarily need to go overseas because we do have such beautiful places to stay and the beaches, and sometimes Kiwis go overseas for a beach holiday and then they come back a little bit disappointed because the beaches aren't as good as they are here, or, there are some amazing ones. But
my kids, if you ask them what their favourite place to go would be, and it would be the Coromandel.
Yeah.
Because all they want to do is they want to run around on the beach, hop in the water, hop on their surfboards, and I think that's their idea of the dream holiday, which is really interesting. I'm like, come back to me in 5 or 10 years and you might change your mind. Mummy likes to go overseas now.
But hopefully technology with cars gets to the point that it's not just if you're in the front seat that you're fine. Because we experimented in the motorhome of what it felt like to drive if you were back. And you're like, oh, this will be so much fun. You can play Monopoly because we got this table in the kitchen. I was like, oh my gosh, as soon as you're in the back, you're just sliding everywhere.
The cars are so much better now than when I was young.
Yeah.
The cars it's way better padding. You've got cup holders. You've got things to entertain you. We never had any of that.
So
we had I
vomit?
Spy, and that was it.
So your kids are okay when you travel. They're less car sick.
My kids are fantastic. The one time they made the fatal error, and that was we were driving from New Plymouth to Auckland with my kids, and we stopped at a wonderful place in Pew called the Fat Pigeon. Everyone knows it because it's the best cafe there. And I stupidly got him a milk. Creamy milk.
Okay.
And then I ended up having to pull over, strip the kids down, vomit everywhere. I'll never do that again. But apart from that episode, they've been really good.
And still recommend the Fat Pigeon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what about some other places you've been? You went to China when you were fairly young as a reporter for TVNZ for the Olympics?
Yeah, I was in my early 20s. We went to Beijing. It was quite a different China, I think, to your everyday, because if you'll remember back in 2008, there were a lot of stories around how they were shipping the homeless out and cleaning the streets, so it looked very good to the rest of the world. But I still managed to see quite a bit of it, and it was very different to what I imagined. We did the Great Wall, and I couldn't believe it because we went up the Great Wall. We didn't have a lot of time, so we didn't trek the whole wall. Yeah. We were reporting, very busy reporters. So we did a small part of it. It was sweltering hot, and I remember thinking, how the hell does anyone run a marathon on this thing, which they now do? But on the way down, you got to basically luge down the Great Wall.
I had someone told me about this the other day.
They
Amazing.
had a luge down the Great Wall. It was the best thing ever. And it was so much greener China than I ever anticipated.
Right.
Everywhere we went, it was very lush.
Yeah.
And I never had that sort of perspective. The food was very different to what you think too.
Yeah.
I think I still had the whole, as a kid you grow up with the Chinese takeaway and you think it's just going to be wontons everywhere. There was a lot of dishes that you just looked at and went, I should probably try that to be adventurous, but I'm just gonna stay clear. I've got to work for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of duck pancake.
Oh,
It's delicious.
amazing.
A lot of duck. Yeah, it's amazing how it's changed. I was there recently, and I've only been there once, but just reading about how it was before. So that part of the Great Wall where you were at, near there now, they built. I don't know who decided, but someone in the Chinese government said, okay, we want to promote more tourism, and let's find the most beautiful water village in China, and then we'll just build a replica of that.
Wow.
So they found one which was somewhere, I think, a few hours from Shanghai, and then they replicated that to the tune of $2 billion. So it is moated with beautiful bridges, and it looks centuries old, and it's brand new. And that's just down from that part of the Great Wall where you were at. Yeah. And it was like, wow, this is such a beautiful historic / 1-year-old village. It was like, only in China can you do that sort of thing.
And that's the thing, and we saw that at the time because they managed to put on these incredible stadiums, and that was something to behold, like to see the bird's nest where they had the track and field, these incredible structures that they just managed to pop up.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's quite sad because I don't think they are used anywhere near as what they hoped they would be, because everything was in such close proximity. You had the water cube where they did the swimming, the bird's nest with the track and field, everything you could just walk to. And it was fantastic to be there with the buzz of the Olympics, but it'd be interesting to go back now and see.
Yeah. And what are some of your family holidays you've done now with your own kids and your husband?
So our absolute favourite place to go is Noosa. And I feel like Noosa is a mini Hawaii.
Okay.
And you'll see me light up when I talk about Noosa because I'm just so passionate about it, and I have like made a lot of my friends go. And
So
I'm
this
like,
is Sunshine Coast for anyone who doesn't know.
Sunshine Coast of Australia. This is where you're going to go. This is where you're going to stay.
Yeah.
We've stayed. I think I found a little magic gem over there actually, and it's called the RACV. Now the RACV in Australia is like the AA for New Zealand. So if you're a member of an AA in New Zealand, you get the same discount at the RACV.
Okay.
And I remember I was really sick at the time. This was maybe 4 years ago, and I had this autoimmune condition, and I was loaded up on steroids. I'd been through IVF. I was really just not feeling great, and we decided we needed to get away, and we booked this holiday. I actually had to go 2 days late because of all the health dramas I was having, and I quickly went online and I booked this place. It looked really cheap, but Noosa looked lovely and relaxing, and we turned up and it was just the best accommodation, the cheapest for the best quality I have ever experienced. It was apartment living. They were giant. It had this amazing pool for the kids that had slides. It was heated. It had all the water stuff, but they still had the beautiful big pool for the adults where you could get cocktails, lovely spa, lovely restaurant, and it was about a 10-minute walk into town.
Amazing.
And we went back 3 times because we loved it so much, and it was all like just booked on a whim. And it's something like you get $150 off every night if you're an AA member. So it became so cheap.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's so cheap you think it's wrong.
The RACV.
RACV.
It's fun to stay at the RACV.
It sure is.
And now you're like an ambassador for them, so you get to stay there for free, maybe?
Well, actually, no, I didn't stay there last time because we went with a big group. I've just come back from Noosa, and we went with a big group, and we decided to do the beachfront thing because I've got tiny kids now, and I didn't want to be the one in the group that travelled that had the 1-year-old, and everyone else's kids are like 5 or above, and I didn't want to be the one pulling the whole group down. So we decided if we stay like poolside, beachside, then my little boy Lockie can be asleep. We can have the monitor by the pool and still be having our G&Ts.
Perfect.
And that's exactly how it played out. And it was a little bit more expensive, but I think when you've got tiny kids, the convenience really was what nailed it.
Yeah.
What I loved about it is you could be sipping your G&T by the pool, looking at the beach, and then decide, actually, I want to do a spot of shopping. 2 minutes later, right there on Hastings Street, you can shop.
Yeah.
And it's got that beautiful feel. It just feels like a holiday, and it feels, I think, like Hawaii. And then at night, the whole street is lined with fairy lights, and it's really, really magical. You can walk up and down. I actually would like the North Shore of Auckland to do that with Takapuna, where it's close to where I live.
Yeah.
I think they could turn it into a mini Noosa. I don't think we have enough fairy lights in this country.
No, more fairy lights.
Yeah.
My wife is a big supporter. You show her any place with fairy lights, she loves it.
Yeah.
Just all about the fairy lights. I mean, it could
is.
be a dump. You put fairy lights there, brilliant.
Another tip for Noosa, since
Okay.
I'm now an ambassador. There is a wonderful tennis club called Noosa Tennis, and we had a group of 3 couples, all with kids. So there were 7 kids between us, and 2 of the mornings we were there, we got up, we went to the Noosa Tennis Club, and for $80 for all of the families, total cost, we were able to hire rackets. We were in undercover courts. They gave us a coach to take the kids for a session while we played tennis, all for $80.
That's amazing.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
So
wow.
that's in
You've got all
Sunshine
the
Beach,
tips,
just around the
yeah.
corner from Noosa.
So I wanted to just ask about, you talked about your health issues, and you've been quite open about the things you've been through and how hard it's been. So does that mean that travel and holidays are so much more important to you now? Do you need to get away and rest and have a really good break away from work and home?
I feel like every year that I am alive, I think holidays are more and more important. And there was a period of a couple of years where I literally couldn't travel anywhere because I was too sick, and I had to be on, have various treatments. And I remember feeling just withdrawals from having a break and not being anywhere. And I remember saying to my husband, we are going to go everywhere after these couple of years. We're just going to be everywhere. But the reality is, when you've got 3 little kids, and you get up at 4 like I do for my job, the holiday situation changes a little bit. So you really got to think about what you want out of the holiday, I think. So at the moment, the ease side of things is really like at the forefront. So somewhere we can travel too quickly, and that's why the Sunshine Coast was really good. When you get there, you don't have to be getting in and out of the car every 5 seconds, because if I had to do that, it wouldn't be a break, and the kids get grumpy because they don't want to be in and out of the car, and that's why Noosa was great, because we could plonk ourselves in one place and just go from there. And I think Fiji is the other place we've done a lot in the last few years because of the same reason. And I'd like to go further afield, but when your kids are that little, you've got to weigh it up. And it becomes you got a week's leave or 2 weeks leave, and for your health, if you need to relax, you got to think, is a 13-hour plane ride going to really make me relax with 3 tiny children? And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, well, I'll just wait a few years and we'll do that when they're a bit older.
Yeah.
And that's what we've decided to do. But I'm also someone who doesn't like to just stay and do nothing. Hence why in Noosa we were doing the Australia Zoo, we were doing tennis, we were going on walks, because I get itchy feet as well.
Yeah.
But holidays are so incredible. In fact, I've just given my co-host on the Hits, Sam Wallace, a big lecture, because he is someone that I think in the last 10 years has been on one holiday that wasn't work related.
Really?
And I said, what are you thinking? I said, you work these long hours. Why are you not taking a break? And he's just come back from Fiji, and he said, holidays are great, aren't they? And I said, Sam, what is wrong with you? And I think he's finally realised at the age of 38 how beneficial they can be for connecting as a family, for relaxation.
He doesn't count his time on Celebrity Treasure Island as a holiday, though, does he? He's talking about something else on top of that in Fiji.
No, he's not talking about Treasure Island, although I don't know many holidays where you go and raise $100,000.
I mean,
that was
pretty good.
But he went back to Fiji.
Yes.
Yeah, and coincidentally with Laura and Guptill?
Coincidentally, they were staying in different resorts.
Right.
He was staying, I think, at Momi over in Fiji.
Yeah.
And Laura was at the Western in Denarau.
Yeah.
And they decided to go to the new Mala for just a
Mala
day
Beach
trip. Yeah.
I thought it was like a celeb couple. Let's all holiday together at the same
I was
place.
feeling very left out as well.
I
want to see them. I work with them every day.
Why didn't they invite Tony? Okay, so it's all right. So off the hook there.
Yeah.
Let's do the travel bugs segment. So the hotels that we love, the hotels that we hate, or the things that we love and hate about hotels. So I've got many thoughts, but let's throw it to the ladies first.
I love hotels. Probably full stop. No, but it's not very exciting, is it? No, I just love someone else is going to make my bed. Someone else is going to like tidy up after me, you know, and it's like not cluttered, and just, I don't know, it's a bit of peace away from home. And, you know, I don't have kids, so there's still peace at home, but I just love a hotel. I'll go to any hotel.
Yeah, I get you, but I'm very picky.
Okay.
Picky, not in necessarily the prestige of a hotel room, but in the cleanliness.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's got to be clean.
Like the worst thing is if it smells like smoke, and you can instantly tell that when you walk in. That is the biggest put off. I hate it when you've got a cramped bathroom. Like, that's really annoying. I love it when all the little features. Like, I love a really tightly tucked bed where the sheets have all got the hospital corners.
And like really high quality linen.
Yeah,
and
I think you remember the little touches of lovely hotel rooms. Like, I remember 2 occasions. Once in Malaysia, we went and stayed on an island called Panggolao. And every single day that we went to our room, it had like a different a creature made out of the towels on the bed.
Yeah, they do that on cruise ships as well. Yeah,
those little things I love.
Yeah, I love Malaysian hotels. Malaysian islands are my favourite in the world.
Yeah, it just makes such a difference.
Tioman Island, you've got to go there next time you're in Malaysia, because it's the best snorkeling. It's outrageous. But they do love, like, it's like an elephant made out of 3 different hand towels. It's like, wow, how do you do that with the ears and the trunk?
I had a whole crocodile once when I was in the Amazon. Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
That's cool.
I think there were about 4 towels involved in that one.
So impressive. I do like space too. Like, some people don't mind if they've got all of their amenities in a little like apartment-y type hotel. I guess it's because I've got the 3 kids always with me. But the big features are there has to be 2 bedrooms. 1 bedroom's not enough. You can't just have the kids sleeping in the lounge, because if you want to have drinks, crucially, while they're in bed, they've got to be in another room.
Yeah.
So, and we've come into that issue a few times at Fiji. There actually isn't a lot of places where you can have 2 separate rooms, and if they do, they're often exorbitant prices. So that's really crucial, being able to, even if it's just to partition the kids across, but having enough room where they can play. And that's that RACV I talked about in Noosa. They had like a kids' lounge. I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. I don't like people who complain generally too much about hotels.
No.
But then when I do it, I'm so sheepish about doing it.
What have you complained about before? I've never complained.
So in Sri Lanka, I complained about a room that smelled like wet dog. And I was like, this sounds like the sort of thing that people who complain about everything would complain about.
Like Mike Hosking?
But like Mike Hosking. But it really smelled like wet dog. And I thought, it's a nice hotel. You know, I'm a travel writer. I want to write nice things about them. So I just went up and said, you know, the room smells like wet dog.
Did they remove the dog?
I never complain, but, you know, wet dog. And so they upgraded us to a private chalet. We felt so guilty, but my goodness.
But it worked.
So we went from one nice smelly room that was relatively small and a bit tired to a private chalet with our own private pool, with our own private garden, with our own butler.
Wow.
And then I
I'm
thought,
going to start complaining more.
I'm going to write this down. Complain of wet dog.
This is why people complain, but isn't that bad? Because I've seen people whose whole thing is they check in, they don't even look at the room, they check in, they go back to reception and they make up complaints.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
They must have been able to tell that you were genuine.
Yeah.
Do you know, you've just reminded me another thing that really grinds my gears. It's only happened once and I couldn't believe it. And it was at the one time that I really needed this. Some hotels now don't stock the minibar. They leave it empty and then you have to ring to get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to choose. I can't choose on the phone. I just need to see it in front of me. And all I wanted was a little glass of wine and a chocolate bar. And it was actually at a hotel down in Queenstown and it didn't have it. And I was for once travelling on my own.
Yeah.
I was emceeing at an event and I had to leave the hotel room for heaven's sake.
Yeah. No,
That's not on.
They should always have a fridge and it should always be stocked.
But it was like people were stealing it and that's why they'd taken it away.
Yeah.
I
Right.
felt like that was the vibe I was getting.
You know, some people, and I've written a column about this, some people, they restock the minibar themselves so that they don't have to pay the prices. So
I see.
So you drink up at the minibar
Yeah.
and have all the chippies and chockies, and then you go to the supermarket early the next day and restock it before they realise that you've had it.
And that's why you'll sometimes get the ones with sensors
Yeah,
so they can
the
tell
weight.
once you've
Yeah.
moved the
Yeah.
items.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
I think
it's
hotels
dicey.
are smarter than us sometimes.
It's disappointing news.
One thing that does annoy me, and I wish that this would start changing, and it is starting to change, but the like plastic waste, and you know, a lot of hotels now are starting to do the refillable dispensers, which is great. I think that's so much better than, you know, I mean, it does mean you can't take away the little complimentary shampoos anymore, but
They're never that great anyway, let's be honest.
they'll always ruin your hair. But they'll do that one thing, so they'll make an effort there. But then, you know, your soap will be in plastic, and you know they'll wrap the cups that you're going to use in plastic, and
It's
there's
just a
so
token
much
effort.
plastic everywhere, and we just really need to be better about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that too.
I've had mouldy pillows in a very cheap hotel in Bali where I'd swum in the pool. The pool was nice, but the hotel was cheap. So I'd swum, and then I lay down on the pillow without drying my hair properly. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's green. So even if you're a budget hotel, you know, clean pillows is the way to go. But as far as the things I love, I mean, for me, historic hotels. I love hotels with stories.
Yeah.
So like even, say, the Chateau in the Central North Island, and it could do with a full refurb, but it's got so many stories as being the first great luxury hotel in New Zealand.
Yep.
The architecture is amazing, and sitting in that grand lobby is still, you know, exceptional. And then you find out, you know, it was closed during World War II and it was set up as like an infirmary. It's got the craziest indoor pool I've ever seen.
So I love how you research your hotels. I'm like, right, where's the bed?
But, you know,
Where's the minibar?
I love the stories, you know. Have you been to like the great showbiz hotels like in LA? You know, you can stay where the stars stay. Or if you're not staying there, you just go get a cup of tea at the Chateau
You're
Marmont.
inspiring me to actually investigate more.
Yeah.
Although I must say I've stayed at a couple of the QT hotels in Australia.
They're really
and
good.
They are really cool.
There's
And
one in Queenstown as well
yes,
now.
it's
Yeah.
recently opened a year ago. So
Yeah.
that really interesting. And it was the first time I started to think, actually, it's kind of cool having this quirky side.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I quite like it. It's,
Do you know what they do though? Did you say you stayed in one or you haven't?
Yeah, I have, yep.
When you get in the lift and they sense how many people are in the lift and they play music.
Music, yes.
Like related to how many people. So if you're there in a group of 4, whatever, it will be like some kind of party song. But if you get in and it senses that you're on your own, they'll play something like All By Myself.
Oh, no.
yeah, and just the two of us, if there's two of you. Yeah, I've had that.
Which I think it's great. But
That's clever.
imagine if you were checking in and you were like really heartbroken and, you know,
And no one would
like
go
really
on holiday
depressed.
with you.
Yeah.
All by
And then they
myself.
start playing All By Myself. It could be dangerous.
Very upsetting. Okay, let's get to our destination of the week. And Tell us why you love Hawaii so much and what recommendations you'd have for people who maybe don't know much about
Even
it.
just the word makes you...
Oh, it does. And I think I feel this way because I'm desperate to get back. I've been twice and I'm waiting till my little boy, who's 14 months, gets maybe a year or two older so that he'll cope with the long flight a little bit better. I just love everything about it. It's super, super relaxing. It reminds me of the relaxing feeling I get from Fiji, but it's got the shopping and the food vibe. And I said that's what I like about Noosa, and clearly I'm someone that can't just go and be on a beach for the entire time. Don't get me wrong, I love that, cocktail in hand. But I just had one of the best holidays ever there where we dined out, we went on a beautiful sunset Mai Tai cruise off Waikiki, if you ever do that.
Sounds fun.
Yep, we had a lot to drink on that sunset cruise and then came and had a beautiful dinner, and it was all within the same sort of area. Just everything about the Cheesecake Factory, but you've got to go there. It's so iconic. We stayed at a place called the Outrigger. So it's just above Duke's, which is very iconic. You'll like that, Tim.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. The hotel itself was quite dated. It has that flowery carpet, quite small. And I've just said I don't particularly like small hotel rooms. But in Hawaii, you never want to stay in your room. You're always out. You're either on the beach. I love the fact that you can do all the water sports right there, the windsurfing, the surfing, and the people. The people are just divine. And I don't know whether it's the throwback to the link to Polynesia that I love about it, but it's just my ultimate destination for relaxation and still being able to do the other things I love, which I'm quite a shopper.
Yeah.
And the shopping is right there.
That Ala Moana Mall.
The mall.
That is bigger than some New Zealand towns.
It blows your
One mall
mind.
in.
And it's got a particularly good Disney store,
Right.
which I have hit a couple of times.
Good tip.
We did Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
What's that like, if people haven't done it?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I was a little bit at the time, I was a bit younger when I first went, a bit like, oh, is this going to be great? History lesson, when really I just wanted to be drinking cocktails, but I would go again. It was incredible. And just the sheer size of it and what they've put together is absolutely worth going, and I would do it again even if you've been once. But I just don't think you can beat it for the relaxing nature of the holiday and to still be kept entertained for people that can't lie on a beach and that's all they do for 7 days.
Yeah.
A little tip, the best place I went for dinner was a place called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Okay.
Doesn't just sell steak. I had some of the best seafood there. My dad had a few too many beers and he ended up tipping the waiter an exorbitant amount, which for a dairy farmer is, he's not normally a tipper, but his name was Brandon. I can still remember the waiter's name. He gave us such great
Good job,
service.
Brandon. Yeah.
There's a lot of karaoke along Waikiki Beach, which I must admit I enjoy.
See, I didn't hit that last time.
really?
I might have to do that.
Next time.
Journey
Yeah,
there.
it's dinner and a show. So you eat, you put your
And-
name down and feel nervous over the course of the hour that you wait, and then you get up and you sing a song.
When we were thinking of going, and then we decided no, the flight was too long. And before that, I had some tips from friends, and apparently the Modern, if you're staying in Waikiki, is very nice.
There's that. I think that's quite new. And then there's Surf Jack as well. That's a new
Okay.
hotel. It's very hip, though. I don't think I'm cool enough to go there. But I'd like to have a look.
I definitely wouldn't be cool enough. I think the Modern's got that 2-bedroom, which is the rule of having
yes,
the 2
that's the
bedrooms
rule.
with all the kids.
Yeah. And do you like to do the exercise as well, like climb up Diamond Head?
Yeah, so I went for a few runs while I was there and nearly died because it was so hot. But there's nothing like going for a run in the Hawaiian heat and then jumping straight in the ocean.
Amazing.
So we did the Diamond Head and we went running. It ticked all the boxes, I think. And if you want a smaller destination, then it's Noosa. But if you can handle the flight, absolutely Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there once a really long time ago. I'm keen to go back and get to some of the outer islands, the other islands, and
Yes.
explore those a bit more because they look incredible too.
And I think too, for a long time, Hawaii seemed a little bit unattainable and a bit too expensive. But now that Hawaiian Airlines is going there, I think people are starting to look at the Fiji goers. And I've been I've been to Fiji more than any other place. I love it.
Yeah.
But it is getting expensive, and you start to weigh up and go, well, if I go to Hawaii, I can get all the exciting stuff as well, like the shopping and the restaurants for almost around the same price.
Yeah.
So
You can get really good deals on airfares. I think some people get shocked about the cost once they get there of accommodation can be really
Yeah.
expensive. But I think if you look at the time of year you go, like I think generally that's when it's really high season that people are paying so much money and it's
Yes.
freaks them out. But you just need to kind of
You look
maybe
at Fiji
go
now and it's getting up there as well.
True.
So, and again, the flights are the thing that are pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
It's just once you get there,
Yeah.
you've got to be selective.
Yeah.
And there's all the movie stuff you can do in Hawaii too, because so many movies like Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then TV shows like Lost
Yeah.
and Hawaii Five-0. There's one place, Kualoa Ranch, where so many movies. If
I
you,
think I went there. Is
Yeah,
that
'cause
on Oahu?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I went
and,
there.
and it's often misty and everything.
Yeah.
And it's quite a bit cooler temperature-wise there. But if there are American-made films or TV shows where they need jungle, chances are they've done it around Kualoa Ranch.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall
Oh, yes.
was shot at Turtle Bay, and Jeremy Wells has actually just got back from there. So it's Turtle Bay Resort
Yeah.
with, what's her name, Kristen Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russell Brand.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll have to get Jeremy Wells on and he can tell us all
He can
about
tell you all about
Turtle
that one.
Bay. Yeah.
There's also, and we may be a bit young for this, but do you know From Here to Eternity, which there's this classic scene, I can't remember the two Hollywood stars who are kissing on the sand and then the waves crash over them.
Yeah, I think I've seen that scene.
Yeah, it's much parodied because it's like so romantic,
Yeah.
but then your waves are crashing over you as you're lying, you're frolicking in the sand.
So great having all that sand. And
And it's up your nose and
Is that
other
on
places.
Hawaiian Beach?
It is, and it is Halona Cave, but it was also used in 50 First Dates too.
Oh.
So, I mean, I like all that stuff. I'm geeky with
yeah.
pop culture.
I think I need to branch out though next time I go to Hawaii, because so far I've just done Waikiki, and we took the drive up the coast to where all the on the North Shore, where all the flash surfing spots are. But I would like to perhaps go to somewhere that's a little less populated next time. So I just need to get those recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can give them to you.
Thank you.
I'll give you one very, very quick last one as we've got to wrap up, as I've made all my notes. But there's also a temple, and I think it's pronounced Byodo in Japanese temple. So it was built in 1968, but it's an exact replica of a 900-year-old temple from Kyoto, but it's half the size. So it's a replica, but half the size. And it's like, stuff like this it's a little bit back to that Chinese fishing village. You know, I find that stuff so strange
When did
to
they
do.
build it? Do you
Well,
know?
you think people are doing it in everyday life now. They want to build a 1930s villa, and it's all built new, but they do it in the old style.
Yeah.
You know, people love the throwback, I think.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. So, yeah. What's next for you, travel-wise?
Okay, possibly the most exciting trip I've ever been on. It's my mum's 60th birthday, and her dream is to have a white Christmas.
Okay.
She has been to Lapland with my father, and they've done the whole big Christmas thing over there. But we're taking my kids, so her grandkids, to Canada, and we're flying into Vancouver, then to Calgary. We're staying at the Fairmont. We're going to be on Lake Louise.
Oh,
we're going to do the ice skating, the dog sledding, and I've been going through the catalogue of what they do for Christmas, and it is out of this world. The Christmas movie nights, you get a tree put in your hotel room. You can go down and make cookies with the chef. You can join the caroling squad. It's like an American or Canadian Christmas, and we're real Christmas freaks in our family. So the fact that we're going to be sipping hot cocoa and singing Christmas carols while potentially it's snowing is just so exciting.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
You do know that the flight, you said you didn't want to go to Hawaii yet because the flight's kind of long for your kids. It's a bit further.
I'm doing it for Mum's birthday, okay? I
So
don't.
in that case, she can look after the kids.
We're doing the sky couch thing with my little boy,
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm hoping that he's just going to lie down and sleep with me. So fingers crossed. But when we get there and we've got that whole magical Christmas scene,
It'll be so worth it.
It'll be so worth it.
Yeah.
That will be spectacular. And
Yeah.
Calgary is properly cold, as in it's like minus 20, so it should be a white Christmas.
Yeah, I remember my mum saying, because she was really worried about the cold when she went to Europe, and she said she coped so well because they do the cold well.
Oh, yeah. Once you get inside, it's so
Yes.
toasty and
So-
warm, and there's
really
fires
it's
everywhere.
a short distance to
Yeah.
get to all the other places, and then you get there and you're literally taking layers off.
Yeah.
You're so hot.
Yeah.
So I think they do it better than what we do. They're just used to that
Yeah.
cold.
And some places in Canada, I don't know if it's the same in Calgary, but they have like underground tunnels and things, so you don't, or like
You can avoid
walkways, so you
the-
don't actually have to go outside. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing they have is a Santa sleigh pulls up outside the hotel and takes you around with actual reindeer. How cool is that?
That'll
You know,
be
your
amazing.
kids are never going to want to have another
I
Christmas
know.
ever again after this, unless
it's supposed to be
the same.
snowing, Mum. Why are we here again?
And dog sled riding is amazing too.
Yep.
Did that in Oregon, so
Cool.
you will love that with the huskies, and
Yeah.
that's going to be magic.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back and,
Yeah, we'll
and
have
tell
to
us all
follow up.
about
I
it.
will totally
Yeah.
tell you. I'm going to be a stressed person because I'm doing some double shifting right up to the end. So it's the packing process. How do you pack when you're going to Lake Louise?
Yeah, just we have talked about this before with Tom Sainsbury. Just wear all your big coats simultaneously on the plane, so you don't have to pack them.
Great.
And then you've got lots of room for other things.
Because
as
I
well.
want to shop as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
So I need room.
Yeah.
That is the tip. Well, that wraps things up. So if you have enjoyed listening, you can follow us on Instagram at Tim Roxburgh, at Home Stephanie.
That's right.
You're on Insta as well.
Yep.
You've got to be.
At
Yes.
Toni M Street.
There we
Okay, so
go.
can we follow your holidays on there?
I'll come back and tell you all about it, and I will
Perfect.
put some pics up of
Great.
the dog sledding.
Excellent. Do it. And if you've enjoyed Trip Notes, then like, rate, subscribe.
Yes, please.
Tell everyone you know, essentially,
Yeah.
is what we're asking.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that helps more people find it.
exactly.
So thank you so much, Toni Street.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.